the ideas of powder and the ideas of water. Both these ideas come from here. The other thing which also came
Can I just say
brought in,
something because I think it'll fascinate you.
yeah,
So what they do in Cambodia is
yes,
that they, of course, they spray water on each other,
hmm.
but they also smear talcum powder on each other.
See, it's a modern substitute. It's a modern substitute.
I was like, why are they doing that? I had no
See,
idea, but now
now
maybe I
you
know.
know.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the WAC Indian History Podcast. I'm Utkarsh.
Namaste. Sumedha here, Utkarsh's partner in the podcast. And here again this week. But remember, we're taking a break after this week.
Yes, so we will still shoot a short, sweet one for you.
Yes.
I want to start this with a personal anecdote, and it will relate to the topic. So when I started work on, I used to work on the Indian market in my previous marketing job, and then I used to work on the Southeast Asian market. And then we have this concept of what is the key consumption period, the festivals, the cultural things. And then I was introduced to something in Thailand. Songkran is the key consumption period. I was like, Songkran, that sounds vaguely familiar. What is that? They're like, and then my Thai colleagues very nicely explained to me, we spray water on each other. I was like, oh, that sounds a touch familiar. No, I asked them any color. They said
Indeed.
no. They said no color, just water.
Indeed.
And then last year I went to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and as it turned out, the day I turned up, we went out, and it was literally young people in jeeps or maybe 4x4s spraying water on each other. It was Songkran in Cambodia as well. So it was quite interesting for me because I think you have guessed by now what the topic is. But it was very interesting for me to see the outreach of what is definitely an Indian festival, Indic culture, in a bigger part, well beyond the Indian subcontinent. So today's episode is, of course, going to be on Holi. It's that time of year again. But what I'm very curious to understand is, I want to understand more about Holi. Of course, we know Holi as you go and play, or rather, if you grow up in certain colonies in India, you run away from the people who are going to really give you a good time. So that's kind of.
I'm the one who chases people. You're the one who runs away.
I'm the one who runs away, runs away and hides, and it never works. And then, of
Yes,
course,
it
you have
never
certain
works.
food on Holi after you've done with all the playing, right?
Yes.
Amazing, tasty food.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what I want to know is, where does this all begin? What is the origin? I really enjoyed what we did on, our very first episode, which was on the Devi worship, the origin of Devi worship, because we were having the Shera and Rachi.
Yes.
So, I would love to hear something similar for Holi. Where does the story begin?
Yes. So, Songkran or the water festival of Cambodia, which is actually called Bonam Tok. Then you have the Thingyan of Burma, but I'll come to these a little later. This Holi or Holak, it's one of the main festivals in the Indic festival calendar. And its roots are so deep. So you have to go back to the Atharvaved. So the Atharvaved is the fourth Ved, and it is about things, which are more earthly and less metaphysical in nature. It's about daily life, or the daily life of the king or the commoner, and it has a parishisht, which is like an appendix, perhaps. So this is this Atharva parishisht. In this parishisht, you have a long list of festivals which are celebrated by the king and his praja. So the Raja and the praja. And from this Atharva parishisht, we can trace almost all our festivals. Whether it be the Shara or Diwali or any other festival, we can trace them to the Atharva parishisht. The same is true of Holi. So the first mention, perhaps, as you would say, is from the Atharva parishisht, which mentions this particular festival. But we have a multiplicity of sources. Some of those sources are formal sources like the Rig Veda, or like some other proper composition like the Kam Sutra. But Holi is a festival. It is an utsav which is not so much about formality or the metaphysics of the Indic universe. For example, Diwali or Dashera is a lot about the metaphysical underpinnings of the Indic universe. This is about its very, very earthly and people centric practices. So, in fact, there are some separate adhikarans for Holika adhikarans, because it is not part of the underpinnings, metaphysical underpinnings. Like for example, in Diwali, you have the idea of your Pitri, and then the end of the Mahalya, as we call it, the end of the time when the Pitri walk on earth. So all those things are there. Here it is all about banishing real evil, negative stuff from the earth, from around where you live, and then enjoying yourself to the hilt, letting go completely. So, what is called Maryada or discipline, that is not there in Holi. So, it's an excess. It's called Ati, excess of speaking, excess of maybe dancing, singing, meeting, in fact, to the extent of being rude. You mentioned people chase you and try to play Holi with you. So nobody will chase you and try and play Diwali with you. Here, Holi is about breaking down all barriers. Whether the person wants it or not, all societal barriers are broken down on that day. And everyone comes together in a very uninhibited, unbridled way of enjoying yourself. So mentions of Holi and different ways of playing Holi have been around for such a long time. So I told you about the Atharva Parishisht. And then you have, do you remember Varaha Mihir? Varaha Mihir we mentioned a lot during our STEM episodes, because he has written this Brihat Sanhita, which is like an encyclopedia. So it has STEM issues, it also has details of these festivals, which everyone used to enjoy. So the Brihat Sanhita of Varaha Mihir also mentions Holi. Then you have Puranic sources such as the Bhavishya Puran. Then you also have the Kam Sutra. Now the Kam Sutra might sound very, very exciting to people, as in being a sex manual, but it's not just that. It is about what we call in Sanskrit Kam and Rati, but it is also a manual of social life. So in this manual of social life, Holi, Diwali, so many other festivals are very, very nicely described. So Holi is also described in the Kam Sutra. Then we have, a very special composition. And this composition has something pertinent to say about another question that we'll talk about, the different regional types of Holi and what happens in the north and what happens in the south. This is called the Manas Ullas. King Someshwar of Kalyan, he composed this around 1131 of the Common Era. Now this Manas Ullas is also like an encyclopedia of social stuff. So what to eat, how to cook, what festivals you have, etc., etc. So Holi is very, very beautifully described in Manas Ullas. Now Holi comes during a time which is called Basant. It is something which is, music, dance, decorations, closeness to nature, closeness to seasons and the change of seasons. So right now what's happening? Basant is arriving on earth. Basant has arrived. That is spring season. And Basant is the king of all ritus. It is the time when the earth is at its most fertile, fecund and beautiful. And everyone on earth wants to enjoy that. So this is one way of enjoying it. So there is actually a whole series of festivals around this time. This is called Vasant. So there are different kinds of Vasant Utsavs. Some of them just celebrate spring. Some of them are the types which revolve around Holi or Holak. I'll explain Holak to you. And the third are the festivals of love, of calm. Because the day of Holi, we have of course the story of Holika Dahan, etc., which we will just discuss. But it is also the day when Kamdev came to life again. Do you remember that story about Kamdev being burned?
Shivji opening his eyes or something.
Yes,
like that,
the gods wanted Lord Shiv to come out of his asceticism after the death of his first wife Sati, because of the misbehavior of her father, Prajapati Daksh, Shivji retreated into complete meditation and asceticism. That was not all right for the world, for the cosmos. The Devas wanted a Senapati to lead them in their wars against the Asurs because they were not doing very well. This could only be a son of Lord Shiva. So they wanted him to get married and have a son. But he wouldn't. So the daughter of Himalaya, her name was Parvati, she was Sati reborn, and she was the one destined to marry Shiva. So she went and tried to gain his attention. So she went a little before this time. It was not Basant, it was before Basant. But that was the time when Kamdev tried to help her. You know, he shoots that bow and arrow. That arrow is tipped with 5 flowers, including mango. And
Can I just
mango
ask
is
one thing? Cupid arrows, is that a straight rip-off of Kamdev? Separate topic, I'm sure.
But you know what, Utkarsh? This Cupid is a stupid little baby. I'm sorry. He's a dumb, stupid little baby. What does he know of love or Rati or Kam or any of these mature things? Kamdev is the very embodiment of beauty, sophistication, and sexual sophistication. So Cupid, I mean, I would not mention them in the same breath. But yes, they could have ripped it off. And you know,
I think
given
what
this...
I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop of this, your statement, Cupid is a stupid little baby, and put it as a clip. I'm sure it'll go viral.
This Cupid is a stupid little baby. This Cupid is a stupid little baby. This Cupid is a stupid little baby. Well, he is a stupid little baby. What is he supposed to know of anything to do, you know, between two adults or two people who know their own mind? But be that as it may, I think you have a point that it must be a rip-off, and they've kind of changed it around because of the prudery which is inherent in Christianity. Kam and Rati, they are husband and wife. Okay. Rati is the act of intercourse. That's what it means in Hindi, and that is his wife. And Kam is desire. So the two get together, and Kam wants to aim his arrow. His arrow is tipped with 5 flowers, and whoever it hits with the power of love, longing, and desire. So he wants to hit Shivji with that arrow, so that the moment he opens his eyes, he sees Parvati, that beautiful princess, in front of him, and he is hit by that flower of longing and desire, and so therefore the work of the gods is done. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out like that. He opened his eyes. He was not at all affected by Kama's bow and arrow. Normally, Kama's arrow is infallible. If it hits anyone, they are hit by desire. But no, Shivji is above all this. He just becomes very angry. He ignores Parvati. He opens his third eye, and Kama becomes ashes. And Rati wails and cries because her husband is dead. And he closes his eyes again. All the devas scatter. Parvati goes off into the woods to do extreme meditation. So that is a very sweet and wonderful story of how Shiva and Parvati find each other, how Parvati insists on, she doesn't give up on Lord Shiva even though he is not very amenable to her advances. I will not go into that story there. Sometime we must do many episodes on Puranic stories. This is from the Shiv Puran. But in the end, Shivji is moved by Parvati's asceticism, and he comes to her, talks to her. The day he comes and talks to her about whether or not she should marry Lord Shiv, he comes in disguise. That is also celebrated as Tej, especially in Purvanchal. That is called Hartalika Tej. Okay. And that day is celebrated by married women with a fast and with so many other things. So anyway, on the day of Hartalika Tej, he agrees to marry her, and then he is also cajoled by people that please let Kam come to life again. So it is said that it is on the day of Holi that Kamdev comes to life again, and he is accompanied by his best friend. His best friend is Basant. That is Basant Ritu. So you see, the entire earth is bursting into new life. There are flowers, buds, blooms on trees all around. In India, you can see it everywhere. I'm sure your friends, at least my friends, are sending me wonderful pictures of trees, flowers in bloom in India. So this is the season for love, romance, and enjoyment, and a new start. Remember that in April will come the Hindu New Year. So this month is called Falgun. The Ritu is Basant. The month is called Phalgun, and often Holi is referred to as Phaggu or Phalguni. All these are also different names of Holi, and this is also the first month in the year. So this is New Year. So when Holi is burnt in that bonfire, somebody else is sitting with her. Her brother called Samvatsar. If you cast your mind back to our episode on time and New Year and all, Samvatsar is a year. So you burn the old year, you burn this Holi, and then the New Year comes in. So all these things are associated, and you will see that when this festival went out into the wide world, then these 2 or 3 associations went with it. Playing with water, then the New Year, and the uninhibited and unbridled exhibition of high spirits. All these things kind of go along with this festival. So this is Basant. This is Basant Otsav. And Basant Otsav, I told you, it happens in 3 ways. Spring festivals, the worship of Kam and Rati, and the third one is Holi. So now what about Holi or Holak? So Holi or Holak, it's obviously a spring festival, and it is said to actually have started because people who lived in any area wanted to do away with the evil spirits that resided in that area and which used to target children. So it started with this, that in any area, the children who lived there would collect wood or cow dung or twigs, etc., and make a huge bonfire. And then in that bonfire, they would say that we are burning this demoness. This demoness, her name was, in different times it was different. So sometimes it was Denda, Dhonda, Dhundu, or she was also called Holika in later years. But there was a lot of abuse. So what did they want to do? This demoness, who was anti-children, who used to eat up children, they want to demolish and send away and burn this evil spirit away. So they abuse this demoness and then they burn her up. So they collected all this, made a huge fire in a decorated enclosure, and then they danced around it, and they abused that demoness. They behaved in a very unbridled fashion. It's called Ativadina. That means it's the extreme of everything. Extreme of bad language, extreme of abuse, extreme of everything to drive away that demoness. So it was the destruction of maladies and evil. So remember, it started off as something which was connected to Vasant, connected to New Year, and burning off everything that was old and bad, and maladies and diseases, always associated with children. If you remember the very important and popular story of Prahlad was also a child. And what did his Bua Holika do? She took him in her lap and sat in the fire. So what was she doing? She was attacking a child basically. So in the beginnings of this festival is the desire to safeguard children from demonesses, from maladies, from evil spirits. And therefore to collect everything that is worth burning around the village, around your area. And this Utkarsh is something that I have also done in my youth. I don't know about today's urban children, they may never have done it, but we have done it, and I hope it still happens in places. We used to collect things that every house would give, which they wanted to throw away and burn. So we would collect all that and we would burn it the night before Holi. That was called Holika Dahan. So the roots are in this desire to demolish this demoness and to demolish all melodies. You know what is a very interesting link? The interesting link is with Charak Sanhita. In the Charak Sanhita, what is a holak? The holak is a bed. It is called, it's a kind of steam bed. So you lie down on a bed, and below it are those pats of cow dung which are burning, so that you get a kind of steam bath. This is what is called, it's called Svedana, or that Svedana is a steam bath. So this is from where the idea of burning cow dung, of fire, of steam, that is the medical holak. And this is the festival holak, but I'm sure you can see the connections between the two. It's all about burning cow dung. And remember, burning of cow dung was used for sending away, or acting against insects, flies, and those kinds of small pesky problems which were there in villages. So the two things of anti-malady, saving children, all these ideas come together as far as Holi is concerned. So this is one part of it. Then next day, what did you do? You burnt this bonfire. Next day, that bonfire was dead, so you had ashes. So the idea was to smear those ashes on yourself. Smear those ashes, as well as red colored powders, as well as earth. To smear it on yourself and then have a bath. So what do you get? The ideas of powder and the ideas of water. Both these ideas come from here. The other thing which also came...
Can I just say something? Because I think it will fascinate you.
Yeah.
So what they do in Cambodia is that they, of course, they spray water on each other, but they also smear talcum powder on each other.
See, it's a modern substitute. It's a modern substitute.
I was like, why are they doing that? I had no
See,
idea, but now
you know. Now you know. So it's absolutely crazy, fascinating how things change and we forget the roots, but the minute you look at it from the idea of origins and you put things together, picture becomes so clear. So that talcum powder, Utkarsh, is ash.
Yes.
It's obviously like ash. In India, what was the other force which was working is that people are very close to nature and very close to the seasons. So there is always this idea of enjoying yourself outside, in the lap of nature. And right from the earliest times of kings and their towns in India, from the Mahajanpad days to the Mauryan days, gardens have been very important. Riverside and garden. So in this season of spring, kings and their entourages or people in general would go to the riverside, or they would go to a garden, where in those gardens there were artificial ponds, flowers, trees. On the riverside, obviously there is water, trees. So then they would pelt each other with flowers, with water. And also, what were the other interesting things that they pelted each other with? Balls of silk thread. So you see, these are all beautiful, soft and lovely things. The water, for example, in the Manasolas, there is a detailed description of this. How this Holi was played, how the water was either perfumed using natural perfumes or colored using flowers. Now this again is something I have also done when I was young. We used to make colored water using dried flowers. And those are, they are not harmful. They are in fact pretty good. They are good for the skin. They are, the perfumes are good for your well-being. So it is perfumed and fragrant water. It is also, like I said, soil. Then you threw flowers at each other. Phoolon ki Holi and all this is still done. But I don't know anyone who plays Holi with balls of silk thread anymore. I haven't heard of that. I think that's I think that's kind of obviously dead. Now, as early as the Kam Sutra, you had the Udak Svedika. So one guess, this is connected to water. What do you think it is, Utkarsh? Udak Svedika. Udak means water.
Svetika.
Yeah. So it's something which is used all the time in Holi.
Pichkari? No, I don't know.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely right. Right
Oh wow,
first time.
that's a lucky guess.
Right first time. So yes, this is indeed the pichkari, or in English we can call it a syringe, although it doesn't have the same ring. So this
Water
is
gun.
the
I don't
huh?
know. No,
What?
not really. I was going to say water
Water
gun,
gun.
but no.
No,
The
water
syringe
gun becomes
conjures
gun.
up images
Syringe.
of
I know,
injections.
hospitals. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So pichkari is good. I think pichkari is good. Or we call it a Svedika. So this Udak Svedika is mentioned in the Kam Sutra. So you fill up these Udak Svedikas with perfumed water, with colored water, and you spray it on everyone else. And you also use all kinds of colored powders or earth or ash and smear it on everyone without any without bothering about whether you know this person or not, or what is the status of that person as compared to yours. You are just society has no barriers on that day. It's also called, this Udak Vedika, another name for that in later years in the Manas Ullas and in the Jai Mangal, which is another composition. It's called the Shringa Krida. That is the play with the syringes or play with pichkari. Or so all these names are a little different. For example, Holi in the Jai Mangal is called Yav Chaturthi. And it also says, so Yav is barley. So they play with each other. In the Jai Mangal, there's a description of playing with barley powder, Yav powder. So all kinds of powders are used, and it does have a resonance with the way I have seen Holi being played in Purvanchal. That nothing is out of bounds. People smear each other with all kinds of things, whether it be soil, whether it be powders, whether it be water, fragrant water, everything. So nothing is out of bounds. So there is a concept in sociology which is one is the great tradition and one is a little tradition. So the great tradition is a sophisticated one with the metaphysical and philosophical ideas, and the little tradition is that which is close to the hearts of the people. So Holi is the Maha Utsav of the little tradition. Now what does Utsav mean? Utsav means anything which gets people together. What is Maha? It is something which is larger than the individual, much higher. So all this Mahotsav, this Maha Utsav, it takes you outside yourself, and it leads to a kind of gelling and bonding and intermingling of society, which is very necessary for its healthy growth. Holi does all this all the time. So there are so many stories about Holi that we'll deal with a few of them. But I must also
Okay.
tell you that I have been mentioning a lot of Sanskrit works. I have told you about the Kam Sutra or the Atharva Parishisht. Does it mean that there are no other language compositions or traditions through which we know Holi? That's not true. For example, the Manas Ullas is not in Sanskrit. Then you have the one I wanted to mention, the Gatha Saptasai. This is in Prakrit. And this is about the 2nd century. It's a very, very famous foundational Prakrit set of stories, the Gatha Saptasai. This also mentions Holi. And this, like I was saying, this Holika Adhikaran everywhere is a little different from all the other great tradition, philosophical and metaphysically very significant festivals, the other festivals that we know. So, stories abound in our culture, in Indic culture. These are the origins. But then so many stories came. In the story I told you about little children collecting wood and twigs and fighting against the demoness Dhendu or Dhondha or Dhundu, that is said to have happened in the reign of King Raghu of Ayodhya. Who was King Raghu? He was an ancestor of Sri Ram. In fact, he
Okay,
was such
so
an
really long
important
back.
ancestor, such an important ancestor of Sri Ram, that Sri Ram is said to be from the Raghukul, from the family of Raghu.
Yeah. Yes.
So that is one of the stories. Then of course the other story is actually even further back than that, the story of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad's devotion to Lord Vishnu. And this is the time of the Narsing Avatar, just before the time of the Narsing Avatar. So this is one of the ways in which Hiranyakashipu tries to kill his son Prahlad, because Prahlad
Yep.
will not accept that his father is God, and he says that he worships Lord Vishnu. So he asks his sister, who has a boon that she will never be burnt by fire, to sit with Prahlad in the fire. But then, as you know, she burns to cinders and Prahlad comes out unscathed. So that is one of the main stories of Holi. But you know, the other one, the one in which there is this element of love, desire, longing, those stories have come together with Radha and Krishna. So Radha and Krishna, the Holi that they play is special. It is out of this world, and you know, it still happens. Holi of Vrindavan is still one of the most significant and beautiful things that you can experience in our country. It's going to happen next week, or yes, or maybe even this week. So that is associated with stories of Radha and Krishna, and how Krishna would go to the village of Barsana, that is supposed to be the village of Radharani, and he would go there to try and play Holi with her and the gopis, and they would playfully beat them away and send them away. So there is a whole long set of stories and songs and dances associated with this. In fact, in art and in music, Holi is such a recurrent and such a significant foundational theme. So you have representations of people playing Holi. I hope to put a few of them over here, especially, you know, the one people playing Holi with the pichkaris. Then you have a lot of music associated with it. There's a whole category which is called Hori. This is just a Prakrit way of saying Holi, which is Hori. Hori is a set of songs about Holi. It's a set of songs about Phagun. Most of it is about the love between a man and a woman, either a love which is being consummated, or a love which is only longing and somebody is thinking of someone else and singing songs, or otherwise how is how does one play Holi. How is someone smears powder on a woman's cheeks, or you know, different ways of playing Holi. These are described. These are in fact indeed beautiful compositions. Utkarsh, we must also put maybe just 20 seconds of a Hori after this segment. We'll put it in so that people know that in every aspect of culture, whether it be music, art, dance, clothes, stories, Holi is interwoven with the idea of enjoyment, with the idea of letting go, with the idea of what can I say, forgetting all your daily problems and tribulations, and for 3-4 days just not thinking of anything else. And I've been telling you this all about Sanatan Dharma, Hindu Dharma, which is not to say that it does not exist in any other of the Indic religions. It does. And in fact, in the Jain and Buddhist traditions, it's more or less the same. The names are a little different, but it's the same. In fact, we have descriptions of Gautam Buddha's life, and there's a time where it is said that he wanted to enter Shravasti, but he could not because people were playing Holi. And it was such a festival, and there was so much crowd, and people were so happy and busy that he could not enter. So in the Jain and Buddhist traditions, the same principles applied, only slightly different names. That's about it. And of course, sometimes their scriptures are a little different. So you see how this becomes significant, Utkarsh, because Buddhism was exported outside to the world, and Holi went with that. So why do we have Holi in Cambodia or Holi in Thailand? Because of this. It's just because of this.
Yeah. I was trying to think, is there another? So the Spring Festival, it's not unique to India, right? So are
Oh,
there?
not at all. Not at all. In fact, there are people who have made surveys of how these festivals have gone both to the west and to the east. So, if you
Oh, okay.
old Greek, Persian, Roman, and Egyptian, and even Goth festivals are similar to Indian ones. Now, I'll give you a few examples. This spring festival, there is something called maypole dancing. There is in European countries, especially in England. So that is nothing but there young men and young women dance around a maypole with there are long strands of ribbons and flowers, and it's all about a mixing of young boys and young girls and the same kind of unfettered freedom that I've been talking about. So you see that is a kind of spring festival which has gone in there. There's also Diwali, of course, is very much there in Thailand, Cambodia, Burma, etc. And old Greek festivals, especially there was a Roman All Fools festival, which is very similar to this Holi. It's called All Fools Day in Europe, and it was called the Spring Festival in ancient Rome. So it is very much the same kind of ideas, except that over there, flinging water, because Utkarsh, in Europe, it's not very interesting to fling water in winter or even now
Even
when
spring, it's pretty
spring is,
cold.
yes, yes. So it's not very interesting comfortable to fling water on each other, or if you try and smear people with something which they have to wash off, they are going to be very, very much bugged by that. So it's not easy to play that kind of Holi in Europe, believe me. I know, I keep trying the past
I
16
take it
years.
you tried it on a neighbor and it didn't go well, is it?
I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. But I have played Holi with snowballs, colored snowballs, because it
Oh,
was
that sounds
snowing on
nice.
the day of Holi. So we just made colored snowballs, and when all our whatever friends and all are here, they came. So we pelted colored snowballs on them. So, as you can imagine, that bit of powder and water is not very desirable in Europe. But the other bits of public festivals, public intermixing of all kinds of people, and abuse, strong words, and unbridled behavior, all these are things which are carried over in the All Fools Day and in the Spring Festival of Rome. So that's in fact an area of a very an area of special and deep research, and people have done it. There's somebody called Fraser who's done a lot of work on this. So the diffusion of festivals from India, not just to the east but also to the west, is a story which needs to be brought out in and of itself.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm sure there is a lot there. There's another tangent that I just thought of. Holi is, not to say this is an absolute view, but it's generally thought of as more of a North Indian festival,
that's true.
right? In general. What's the reason for that? I'm sure it's not true, but I do know that there's a perception.
I think the what has happened over hundreds and thousands of years is that there is always a change in the way different festivals are celebrated because of local circumstances. So, in fact, in our thinking, there are two kinds of celebrations. One is called national. One is a category of national celebrations, or which is called Mahimanya, which is very large, and the other is called Deshya, which is local. So, Holi is a festival which is Mahimanya. That means it is celebrated everywhere. But the ways in which it is celebrated are often very different. So, for example, people from, say, Tamil Nadu or Kerala will say that no, we don't, throw water on each other. and we don't smear colors. So we don't play Holi. And in fact, there's a lot of invective against North Indians about this very terrible thing that they do, which is play Holi. It is true that sometimes, in urban areas, things
It
do
can
get
get
a little,
rowdy.
yeah, it can get rowdy. So I suppose there's a kernel of truth there, but of course it's highly exaggerated, and then it goes off into many cultural statements that this is what North Indians are like, and they have no culture, no sophistication, we don't do all this kind of stuff. So actually that is not true, because this Manasolas is a king of Andhra Pradesh. He is from the south,
Okay.
the King Someshwar of Kalyan. And also, I'll give you some examples of the ways in which uh, Holi is played in different parts of the country. So you look at in Bengal and in Odisha, what happens on the day of Holi? Krishna, Lord Krishna, kills Putana. Do you know that story of Putana?
No, I don't.
Again, you see the same angle comes in. A demoness who attacks a child. So when Krishna was born, his mama, who was Kans of Mathura, he had been told that Devaki's seventh son would actually kill him. So therefore he had imprisoned her, and as soon as all the children were born, eighth son, not seventh, as soon as all the children were born, he used to kill them. But somehow they managed to get their son Krishna. You may know the story about how the jail opened, how the Yamuna parted, how Vasudev walked up to Nand and Yashoda's village and deposited Krishna and came back. Now, when later Kans got to know that perhaps this child has escaped and he is there with Nand and Yashoda, he sent in many demons in different forms to kill the baby Krishna. One of them was a huge bird, and one was this demoness called Putana, who turned herself into a very loving and maternal woman, went to the village and took the baby Krishna into her arms from his mother Yashoda and said, no, I want to play with this little child. But she wanted to kill him. However, even though he was a baby, Krishna killed Putana. And Holi for Bengal and Odisha marks this event, the killing of Putana.
Okay.
It's also, a very important place for the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a mystic of the 10th, 11th century. He's the one, he used to walk around singing songs, singing of Krishna and Radha. So his followers abound in Bengal and Odisha. So it's also said to be the birthday of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's the way they celebrate it in Bengal and Odisha. Now in Kerala, Holak, that burning of Holak, it is connected to Parshuram. You will remember again in our last episode we spoke of how Parshuram came to Kerala from the book Kerala Utpatti, and he established all the colories. He also established a lot of other cultural practices. So Holi and Holak are associated with Parshuram. Then you also have there is something in Maharashtra which is called Lavani. Lavani is a folk song. So it is associated with Holi. On that day, the day after Holi, there is a worship of Kam and Rati, and there is the Madanotsav. So you know what they drink? They drink sandalwood powder mixed with water, and in that are floating tiny mango blossoms. Not only are they the product of that particular time, because mango trees are flowering just now, but they are also, mango is one of the flowers which is on the bow of Kamdev.
Calm.
And mango is said to be a representative of Lord Vishnu. So there's a lot of imagery and there's a lot of symbolism. In South India, this is done, and this is called Kamandi, which is again associated with Kam, the burning of Kam and the regeneration of Kam. And the songs that are sung are in Maharashtra. They are called Lavani. Are you familiar with Lavani? It's a really amazingly popular folk form, Lavani. And again, it's not a very sophisticated dance. It's really a very earthy kind of dance with very straightforward lyrics, and it is a very in your face dance, this Lavani, and it is associated with Holi. Then in there is this Karadaya Nombu, which is also related to this same Holi and Holak and all the rest of it. This is in Tamil Nadu. So can you see that ways of celebrating this are changing? There are some things, some or the other things will remain the same, like for example, association with calm or association with mango, or singing or dancing or smearing of something. So all these things they remain the same, but they take a very regional form. So for somebody from say Bihar who is looking at this Karadega Nombu will not be able to recognize Holi. Equally, the person from Tamil Nadu will not be able to recognize that there is some link with Holi. So the ways in which these are celebrated have changed over the years, and the forms that they have taken. I mean, for instance, talcum powder. I mean, who can ever imagine talcum powder with Holi as one of the origin factors of Holi? You can't. The thing in itself has changed so much that you have to trace it back. Once you trace it back, it becomes clear, but otherwise it doesn't. Otherwise it remains at a superficial level. It looks very different. So that is why this kind of strange thing is said that Holi is not celebrated anywhere except in the north. Although I will say that there are different festivals which are loved more in different parts of the country.
That's normal though, right?
Yeah, definitely Holi is a very much loved festival of Purvanchal. So they are just different ways, as we go on with our podcast and we reach different festivals, Utkarsh, for each festival we will do this. And I will trace the different ways in which this festival is celebrated in Bihar or Kashmir or in Tamil Nadu or in Kerala. The roots are the same, but the ways of celebrating it always, it's Desh, Kal, Vartaman. So where are you? What is the situation and what is your present situation? That is what always has the maximum influence on this. And I cannot let this go without talking about my favorite, Mauryans. So for the Mauryans, this yes. So for the Mauryans, Madan Utsav was a huge thing. So it was celebrated over the course of 4 to 5 days, and all normal activity was suspended. Whatever you were doing, you stopped. There were only very big parties arranged, street parties and public parties, and alcohol was free. All the famous dancers and singers of the kingdom gave their performances out in the public for everyone to enjoy. And normally the administration, remember I told you this in one of the episodes, did not let you make your own alcohol at home. You had to buy it.
It was all state, right?
Yes,
state
yes. Yes. But these 4 days, you were allowed to make your own alcohol and drink it. So it was like, fun to the nth extent. All barriers, all rules were suspended, and even people were even encouraged to enjoy themselves. For example, making the performances of singers and dancers free was a very big deal, because then everyone could enjoy it, and street parties were the norm. So people were singing, dancing, meeting each other, etc. on all the 3-4 days of this Vasantotsav or Madanotsav. So the aspect of Madanotsav, which is the spring festival of love, was very important for the Mauryans. And of course, even during that time, Holi, as I have described the origins of Holi, that also was played.
Okay, interesting. So clearly this is, it's the whole idea of giving a release to people is very interesting.
Yes.
I don't think I've really heard much of an equivalent in too many cultures.
No, but
No.
the Roman spring festival that I was
Oh
talking
yeah, of
about,
course.
and
So I
carnivals,
guess
All
so.
Fools Day.
It's all the pagans, right, who like having fun.
Yes, only pagans like having fun. Only heathens have fun. So,
Yeah,
Utkarsh, that's a nice tagline, huh? Only heathens have fun.
that's true. Rest of
But
us have to
it's
save our souls.
there is a very grave truth in what you're saying, Utkarsh. Because when a lot of these religions imposed themselves, especially Islam and Christianity, the first things they did was to stamp out these festivals. There is something called the Edict of Thessalonica, which
Okay.
I would invite all viewers to read up. It is all about banning all these festivals. So once you ban festivals, the essence of that particular religion, that particular way of life also goes away. There is no fun. Can you have a kind of underground Holi? You can't. Holi is supposed to be celebrated in public, or Diwali is supposed to be celebrated in public, which is why in India there is so much outrage about the way in which fireworks are sought to be banned, talking about the environment, but actually perhaps meaning something entirely different. Because there is a whole strong and terrible tradition of banning local festivals. People who have come from outside with different values have tried very hard to ban these festivals. And when there was this kind of religious imperialism going on, especially in the first millennium, when pagans were sought to be stamped out, the first thing that was done was to, one, either those festivals were banned, or two, they were taken over. When we spoke of the year and New Year and Christmas, we did talk about how Christmas was appropriated from earlier pagan practices, when that was supposed to be the day of the birth of the sun. And it was the end of a period, 8-day period of carnival in Rome, where all the pagan gods were honored. So, stamping out of these festivals and not letting the heathens have any fun was a very great weapon in the arsenal of people who wanted to impose Islam and Christianity.
Okay. So I think that's very. Is that an interesting way to end this, or is
No,
there
no, I
something else
just
that?
wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to talk about a little bit about the way Holi went from India
Oh,
via
sure. Yes,
many,
of course.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So via many Indian monks and Indian traders and merchants. So that the four aspects of Brahmins, warriors, merchants, and artisans. These four categories went out from India everywhere, including Southeast Asia, and then, of course, to Japan, Korea, and China. So these four correspond very closely to our Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, if you'll just think about it. So this entire societal system was exported. Along with it was exported a lot of the ideas, the metaphysical ideas and the earthly ideas of what to do and how to have fun. So the Songkran of Thailand is a mixture of Holi and New Year, and the water is supposed to wash away the old year and bring in the new. Then you have the Thingyan of Burma. Again, water features here, and it's the same thing as in Thailand. Water washes away the old. Then you have experienced the Cambodian water festival and the talcum powder yourself. Then the interesting one is the Wata Wata festival of Philippines. It has now become Christian. It has become the birthday of John the Baptist.
Okay.
And in Indonesia, in Java, in Bali, Holi, of course, remains, because there is some Hindu presence over there, especially in Bali. Holi remains as Holi. It is played as Holi. It is celebrated by the local Hindu population. So in Southeast Asia, some of the festivals have become so different that we don't recognize them. In other cases, they remain as they were. They remain as Holi. In Bali, it is still Holi. It's not called by any other name or anything else. It's still Holi. So a lot of the soft power, the exports of India in an era gone by still exist. This is, we can think of it as another part of the origin series that we are doing. that we want to keep doing. So the origins of some of these festivals are found very much in the Holi festival of India.
Yeah.
And
I
of course, I forgot to mention, but you had mentioned all the food. So there are many different kinds of traditional food which are made for Holi. In Purvanchal, we eat pua, we eat dahi vada, and pua itself is a sweet dish made of wheat flour and gur and honey, which is mentioned in the Rig Veda.
It's that old,
So
that
it's
ancient.
that old. It's that ancient. Yes. And the other, there are traditional things which are associated with Holi, and they are different in every region. But the fact remains that we want to enjoy ourselves as much as possible. Therefore, not only, I mean, we eat, drink, and be merry. So that's the idea of Holi. And I am going back to India after 16 years for Holi. So I am very excited.
You're all set to eat, drink, and be merry.
Yes, and play Holi on Sunday. And I want to wish all our viewers a wonderful Holi. Enjoy yourself wherever you are. This is the essence of enjoying yourself without any limits at all. I mean, enjoy yourself as much as you can, but within the
Within the
limits of
bounds of the law
decency. Yes, within the
and the
bounds
law.
of the law. Yes, yes. But enjoy yourself nevertheless. Have fun. It's Holi.
Yes. Wonderful. So we'll end it here. We'll be on a little break, so that we can enjoy ourselves as well.
Yes. And we'll be back,
And
I think, in the, is it the first or the second week of April, Utkarsh?
second week of April.
All right, viewers, don't miss us too much. And you will not, because we will be releasing shorts, won't we, Utkarsh? We
Yeah,
will
we'll
be
be releasing
releasing
shorts
shorts.
as well as some clips and some other
Yes.
structured content.
Yes, because we've been getting a lot of feedback that people do want to also listen to this in short, sharp bursts. So I think we're going to oblige all of you. You will not miss us because we will keep releasing these shorts and these clips, and we will see you again for a long episode in April. Till then, enjoy yourself and happy Holi.
Take care.
Namaskar.